In this video, we are going to learn about how to use SOQL queries in Apex. If you are new to Salesforce Apex and do not have prior knowledge of SOQL, before you continue watching this video, we will recommend you to click on the I button link that's appearing in the top right of the screen now and watch our video on SOQL basics. It is important for you to know about SOQL syntax, where and limit clauses to understand the concepts that we will explain in this video. So let's continue with this video. SOQL queries can be used in two ways in Apex. First, SOQL as a statement. Second, Database.query method. Let's take a look at each of these one by one. SOQL as a statement. This is the very basic way of executing the query and getting the response. Here is the syntax. If you look at it, on the left hand side of the equals to operator, we have declared a variable of type list named lst_ops. And on the right hand side of the equals to operator, we have enclosed the SOQL query in a square bracket. Whenever we write a query like this, Salesforce will execute it, and whatever is the response, that response will be assigned to the variable on the left hand side of the equals to operator. Now, the lst_ops is a list type variable which can hold opportunities as S-objects. If you don't know about the data types like collections, lists or S-objects in Apex, we will recommend you clicking on the I button now and watch our video where we have explained about the different data types that are supported in Apex. Now let's try to understand this concept through a practical example. On the screen, you can see the opportunities list view which shows all the opportunities in this Salesforce instance. We will create a method which will return to us the opportunity records that matches to the criteria that we specify. In the class SOQL demos, we will create a method search opportunities which will accept one string type of parameter named OPP name. Inside the method, we will write an SOQL statement which will fetch fields like opportunity name, opportunity account name, amount and close date. In the where clause, we will add a like operator which will be bound to the bind variable OPP name. Now, what is a bind variable? Bind variable is a variable in an Apex method which we can refer in an SOQL query which will be evaluated at runtime. This means that in the query, we do not need to specify the hard-coded values in the where condition. We just need to specify the name of the variable, and whatever is the value in that variable during the code execution, Apex will consider that value only. For this, you need to make sure that you use the character colon so that the Apex understands that the variable that we have used in the SOQL query should be considered as a bind variable. Otherwise, it will throw a compile time exception and will not allow you to save the code in the editor. Now, let's go ahead and try to execute this method from execute anonymous Apex window. In this window, we need to call the method of that class and need to capture the response in an opportunity list variable. We will use the for loop to iterate over all the records that are written by the method. Using the system.debug statement, we will print the opportunity details in the Apex logs. Finally, we will click on the execute button and open the Apex logs. In the Apex logs, we can see that instead of returning all the opportunities, the method has returned only 4 opportunities as we had specified age as the parameter to the method, and that parameter was used to filter the records in that method. Also, you will notice that it returned only those records where the opportunity name contained the text age. Let's try executing the same method with a different parameter value. You can notice that the returned opportunity records are different and they match to the parameter value that we had specified during the call. Now, let's take a look at the second approach by which we can execute the SOQL queries in Apex, which is Database.query method. The database is a class name while the query is the method name. Salesforce provides a lot of predefined classes and methods to make developers' life easy. This class is a part of that initiative only. This method accepts a string parameter which is supposed to be a valid query. Let's try and understand this with another practical example. For this, we will use the same class and method that we created in previous example. First, we will create a query in a string format. Then we will call the Database.query method and pass that query to that method. Here you will notice that we have not used the bind variable syntax. This is because our query, which is right now in the string format, will not be evaluated at compile time during the save, like that of the SOQL statements. However, the variable op name will be evaluated runtime and it will be replaced by its actual value in that string. Let's try executing this method from the execute anonymous apex window. You will notice that the method call produced the same result. Let's try changing the value in the method parameter. See, it is producing the same result as that of the SOQL statement examples that we saw earlier. Now, you may think that since both of these produce the same results, why did Salesforce provided two different approaches? Well, the biggest difference is that the SOQL statement queries are evaluated at compile time and are static in terms of the fields that they return and the different where conditions that we give to them. However, SOQL queries in the Database.query approach allows us to create and execute the SOQL queries dynamically without needing to evaluate or validate those queries at compile time. So, SOQL statements should be used when we know prior to the implementation that which fields we are going to return from a query and what will be the where conditions, etc. In contrast, Database.query should be used whenever we want the calling methods to modify the queries based on the different scenarios. Let's try to understand this with another example. For this, we will use the same class and same method that we used earlier. However, we will add a new parameter of type set to the method. We will use this variable to determine the fields that we want to query without we hard coding these values in the query variable definition. Since we have completed the modification, let's now try execute this method from the execute anonymous apex window. Here we will create a set variable of type string and add the field API names that we want to query. You will now notice that the number of records that the method call returned remained the same, but the fields that it returned were changed. Here you might think that we had specified account.name, but it returned account ID only. This is because of the limitation of Apex logs while printing the opportunity object. Anyways, we can validate if our method is returning the correct set of fields or not by specifying the account.name field in the system.debug statement. If you like this video, please do like and share. If you want to receive more of such informative content, please hit the subscribe button. If you want us to make content related to any Salesforce or Salesforce related topic, please do let us know through comments.